We are emotional beings. It's in our DNA. Our feelings, as powerful as a supernova, color our perceptions of the world. This cosmic dance between reason and emotion shapes our judgments, often in ways we don't even realize. It's a fundamental part of what makes us human. But what happens when emotion hijacks reason, when fear, anger, or even excitement cloud our judgment? We become vulnerable to manipulation, to appeals that bypass logic and tug at our heartstrings. Imagine a politician, voice booming, painting a picture of a nation under threat. Fear grips the audience. Rational thought fades. This is the power of emotional appeals, a tool as old as civilization itself. From ancient orators swaying crowds with tales of glory to modern advertisements promising happiness in a bottle. The manipulation of emotions has been a constant throughout history. Recognizing these emotional appeals for what they are is the first step towards reclaiming our rational minds. Emotional appeals are often subtle, disguised as logical arguments. They whisper to our deepest desires and fears, bypassing the critical thinking that safeguards our minds. Consider the friend who buys a car based solely on its sleek design, ignoring practical considerations like gas mileage or safety ratings. Emotion trumps reason in that moment, fueled by the desire for status or admiration. Or think about the charitable donations driven by heart-wrenching images of suffering. While compassion is a noble motivator, these appeals often lack the context necessary to make informed decisions about where our money can truly make a difference. These are not inherently bad choices, but they highlight how easily emotions can masquerade as logic. We convince ourselves we're being rational when in reality our decisions are driven by feelings. This is the siren song of emotional appeals, lulling us into a false sense of security while steering us away from the shores of reason. History is replete with examples of emotional appeals shaping the course of events for better or for worse. Leaders throughout time have understood the power of tapping into the collective psyche, using fear, anger, and hope as tools of influence. Consider the propaganda posters of wartime, depicting enemies as monstrous threats to national security. These images, designed to evoke fear and outrage, rallied citizens to support the war effort, often overshadowing critical discussions about the costs and consequences of conflict. The Salem witch trials offer another chilling example. Fueled by fear, paranoia, and religious fervor, accusations of witchcraft spiraled out of control, leading to the imprisonment and execution of innocent individuals based on flimsy evidence and emotional pleas. These historical echoes remind us that emotional appeals are not relics of the past, but enduring forces that continue to shape our world. Recognizing their influence in historical contexts is crucial to understanding their pervasive presence in our own time. We rely on experts, doctors, scientists, seasoned mechanics. They hold specialized knowledge, guiding us through complex decisions. This trust is essential. It allows society to function. But this trust, like a sword, cuts both ways. Blind faith in authority without questioning can be as dangerous as ignoring expert advice altogether. History is littered with examples of unquestioned authority, leading to disastrous outcomes. The Tuskegee syphilis study, a shameful chapter in medical history, saw researchers withhold treatment from African American men for decades, despite knowing the devastating effects of the disease. This horrific abuse of power underscores the danger of blindly accepting the pronouncements of authority figures, even those with impressive credentials. Questioning authority isn't about disrespect. It's about ensuring accountability, transparency, and ultimately, better outcomes. Section 5. Blind Faith in White Coats' Authority and the Pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the dangers of blind faith in authority. The world turned to scientists and public health officials for guidance. The pandemic revealed the potential for authority to be misused. Conflicting information and politicization eroded public trust. Fringe theories dismissed mainstream scientific consensus. This distrust hindered efforts to contain the virus. The pandemic reminded us that blind faith in authority can be perilous. The digital echo chamber amplifying fallacies in the information age. The digital age has created fertile ground for misinformation and emotional manipulation. Social media platforms reinforce biases, drowning out critical thinking. Algorithms prioritize emotional content over accuracy. This creates a feedback loop of outrage and confirmation bias. We've all seen it happen. A friend shares a sensationalized headline, emotions inflamed. Section 7, From Fear to Fury, the weaponization of emotion in the digital age. This digital landscape, awash in misinformation and emotional appeals, has created a breeding ground for the weaponization of our feelings. Political campaigns exploit our anxieties. Divisive rhetoric spreads like wildfire. We are bombarded with carefully crafted narratives designed to evoke fear, anger, and outrage, often pushing us towards extreme viewpoints and eroding our capacity for empathy and civil discourse. The 2016 US presidential election and the Brexit referendum stand as stark examples of how emotional appeals fueled by social media manipulation and targeted misinformation campaigns can sway public opinion and undermine democratic processes. These events underscored the fragility of truth and the vulnerability of reason in the face of sophisticated emotional manipulation. The digital age has provided powerful tools for those seeking to exploit our emotions for political gain, and we must be vigilant in recognizing and resisting these tactics. Section 8. The Guardians of Reason, Critical Thinking as our shield. So how do we navigate this complex landscape where emotions run high and appeals to authority can lead us astray? The answer lies in cultivating our capacity for critical thinking. Critical thinking is our shield against manipulation, our tool for discerning truth from falsehood. It's about questioning everything, even our own deeply held beliefs. It's about demanding evidence, considering multiple perspectives, and being willing to change our minds when presented with new information. This doesn't mean approaching every piece of information with cynicism or distrust. It's about engaging with the world with a discerning eye, questioning the source of information, considering the potential biases at play, and looking for evidence-based arguments rather than emotional pleas or appeals to authority. Section 9. Navigating the Information Maze. Evidence as our guiding star. In a world awash in information, evidence becomes our guiding star, illuminating the path towards informed decisions and rational thought. Whether we're evaluating a political argument, a scientific claim, or a friend's impassioned plea, the ability to assess evidence objectively is paramount. What does the data say? What are the sources? Are there alternative explanations? These are the questions that critical thinkers ask, probing beneath the surface of claims to uncover the underlying evidence. This process isn't about finding information that confirms our existing biases. It's about seeking truth wherever it may lead. It's about embracing the scientific method with its emphasis on empirical evidence, peer review, and the constant testing and refinement of hypotheses. Section 10. The Promise of a Skeptical Mind, Embracing Curiosity and Doubt. Cultivating a skeptical mind is not about becoming cynical or dismissive. It's about embracing curiosity and doubt as pathways to understanding. It's about approaching the world with a healthy dose of skepticism, questioning assumptions, and demanding evidence for extraordinary claims. Imagine encountering a sensationalized headline or a friend sharing a seemingly outrageous story. A skeptical mind doesn't immediately accept or reject the information. It pauses, questions the source, seeks out additional perspectives, and considers the possibility of bias or manipulation. This process of inquiry, fueled by curiosity and a willingness to doubt, is essential to navigating the complexities of the information age. It allows us to engage in meaningful dialogue, to challenge misinformation, and to arrive at conclusions grounded in evidence rather than emotion or blind faith in authority. Section 11. A universe of reason towards a future informed by logic and empathy. We stand at a crossroads, bombarded by information, awash in emotional appeals, and facing a future shaped by technology we barely understand. In this complex landscape, the ability to think critically, to question authority, and to ground our decisions in evidence is more crucial than ever. But reason alone is not enough. We must also cultivate empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. For a world driven solely by logic, devoid of compassion, would be a cold and unforgiving place. Our goal should be a future where reason and empathy coexist, where critical thinking is tempered by compassion, and where our decisions are informed by both logic and a deep understanding of the human condition. This is the universe I strive for. A universe where evidence guides our path, where curiosity fuels our explorations, and where empathy reminds us of our shared humanity.